And I think we're live. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Ricardo De Cruz, and I represent Complete Auto Reports and Joman Auto Service. Today, we're going to talk about a 2020 Audi Q3 that requires several calibrations post-collision. So we're going to talk a little bit about Audi documentation and what you have to do to get it. Some prior experience we had with the 2022 Audi Q3. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, you'll see an article called Restoring Trust, Safety, and Peace of Mind. That entire article is about an endeavor with the 2022 Audi Q3 that was nearly brand new at the time that we had it. So this vehicle today requires 3 calibrations: dynamic driving calibration for the front radar sensor. There is no static calibration for the radar sensor on this vehicle. It is dynamic only. So we did that yesterday. I have the video here. It's, long and boring. I'm really just driving on the highway. I might be able to show it to you really quick. I've also done a bunch of prep work for the other calibrations, and I'm going to share my screen now and kind of get into it a little bit. So excuse me just one second. All right, so let's get rid of that infinity screen. Okay, so Audi technical info is readily available. The technical info is easier to get than access to Otis. Access to Otis is a pretty protracted process that takes at least a week for you to get a legal license through Volkswagen Audi to use their software. You can find all of this information at nastf.org. That's NASTF.org. There you can find information on how to get legal vehicle info and legal software for nearly every manufacturer that exists today. So what you're looking at here is the driver assistance PDF that you can download from Volkswagen Audi. So in this PDF, you will find a range of information related to driver assistance systems. So you will see on the right-hand side here, I've kind of like made some notes. And my notes are all relative to the services that were performed. So on this car, I know that the front radiator support was replaced along with bumper and several other components. It had a really hard hit on the front right, headlight, things of that nature. So I will go through the PDF and kind of mark out where the most important information is through their little Post-it note system. And going into here, so we'll go to the front bumper, the camera information. So here it tells you about the camera, where it goes in, and it'll tell you what page has the calibrating information. Something to note about Audi is a lot of their documentation may jump PDFs. So the first time you work on an Audi and you're doing stuff of this level, take your time and read through it, because you may download the driver assistance PDF and think that it has all the information you need, and it might not. There might be some other information in another PDF or section relating to, like in this instance, the front bumper might have more information for you. So always be cautious to, or kind of look out for yourself essentially, because if you pay for one day and you don't download all the correct information, you have to do it again and you got to pay twice. So in order to avoid paying twice, make sure you have all the relevant information on the first try. So going into the calibration, or calibration instructions rather. So it tells you, calibration adjustment must be performed if the position of the camera has been changed, the module has been changed, or there's a misalignment or overlap. On this vehicle, the camera was not changed, but it was removed and reinstalled. And you will see from these photos that the overlap is pretty bad. So you can see this is in a local parking lot. See how that line starts to curve out, and it's kind of bowing. It's doing that, kind of indicating that the front camera alignment is not good. And this is the 360 view camera, not the driving camera, not the one that will do the Audi presense, like the automated emergency braking and things of that nature, lane change assistance to keep you in your lane. Going back to the PDF, this infographic might look familiar if you found me on LinkedIn. And underneath that, you'll have the requirements. So the requirements are pretty standard for this. Vehicle on a solid flat surface, steering wheel is straight, The park and brake applied. People must not sit in the vehicle. This one's kind of interesting because in order to do this calibration, I think you might actually have to be in the car, or if not, very close to it. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this with you guys today, but I'm going to show you the setup and I will try it. We'll see what happens. And there are the rest of the requirements. So now moving on to the front camera calibration, same concept. I have my post-it note saved. You see it here. It tells me that there are calibrations. So here in the instructions, it states that there is a dynamic calibration and a static calibration. This is a little bit of conflicting information because in Otis, Otis is Audi's original software. So in Otis yesterday, I went to activate the calibration to see if it was dynamic or not while I was doing the dynamic drive for the radar. And it indicated to me that I needed to have very, very specific hardware in Otis. Otis told me that I needed the setting basic device and the adapter. And typically when it tells you you need that, it is because it is a static calibration and not a dynamic. So once I saw that yesterday, I kind of stopped where I was and exited out of that function and left it for today to show you guys. So going further down, here are the calibration conditions. Front wheels, straight ahead position, park and brake applied, doors, hood, and rear lid must be closed. So now the hood being closed is relatively interesting because how do you close the hood and keep your battery maintainer on? And they do tell you to use a battery maintainer, battery charger for the battery support mode connected. Exterior rear view mirrors are folded out. There is no one in the vehicle. That's pretty common for this type of calibration. Vehicle in curb weight. So curb weight means a full tank of gas and all the fluids are filled. I know there are people that use weights in place of filling the tank with gas. To be quite honest, it is an utter waste of your time. Just fill the car up is my stance, but welcome to everybody's opinions as always. And these are, the instructions on how to lay out the targets. So I've already done a bunch of pre-work. So my pre-work consists of emptying out the vehicle of its contents, preparing it for calibration, checking the tire pressure, checking the tread depth. So in one of the pieces of information, it said that you needed to be within 230 seconds of all tires. So checked every single one, and you see I document everything. I then upload this to our shop management system, filled it with gas, measured the target out, 1400 millimeters is where it has to be. So both sides. And here's where I started the 7-step process. So I'm going to show you guys on the video out there, but just going through the photos so you see that I practice everything I preach all the way through. I typically take these photos while I'm doing everything. Look, that one's upside down. I can upload them directly as I'm doing it, but I like having duplicate copies. So I take them and then upload them afterwards. So that is what the shop looks like right now. I am going to step out into the shop and we're going to try and activate the camera calibration to see how this works from here. It's been a while since I've done an Audi, so I don't remember what exactly happens. And the last Audi that I did, if you've read that article, you know the camera calibration did not work in my favor. That is the 360 view, not the front Audi Presense camera. So with that in mind, I think I've covered everything I really wanted to talk about. I've got my sheet here. I'm going to walk out and go through it with you guys. Okay, so here is our we're set up. Now, the infographic that you have on LinkedIn shows you every single step that I took to get here. You're going to see that, I don't have my targets down because I only have 3 of them, and I had to take them out to lay out the 360 targets. But you will see I have lasers measuring everything out. Now look at that, one of them, the battery died on that one while I've been prepping. This one's good. And we are essentially ready to start. So learned a new trick on Otis today. When you don't utilize their software, you kind of got to pick things up as you go along. So one of the things I learned today is how to add a self-test to the test plan. So being that I've got that done now in the peripheral camera, I really just wanted to do this video to show you guys, because my issue here is if I have to get in this car, I don't know what happens, because I obviously cannot step on that. I don't want to peel that away because I have my line set up, right? So my line is on the target all the way down and all the way up. So now I'm going to close the door and try and activate the test. So these are the requirements. Everything is set up. I'm going to hit next. Okay. Yes. And that calibration is done. So now, since I have my target all set up, I am going to move on to the front camera calibration. So for that one, it is a little bit easier. Or at least I thought it was. Calibrate control module. Run. Okay, see, this is what worried me yesterday. So when I was doing my dynamic drive for the radar, I saw required test equipment, and that typically means that you need that hardware there, and that would mean that this vehicle does not have a dynamic calibration like the Audi PDF may suggest. So I have everything all set up. Okay, I have my measurements for this. So I took measurements of the front suspension. You will notice this car does not have that little piece on the fender. So I had to adjust, I had to mock it up essentially because I have one here, and then I had to adjust. So it makes a 5mm difference in height check. So I have that measurement here. I'm just going to proceed with this now. Comfort or auto. So I'm going to check that the suspension is set for comfort or auto. Okay. It is set for auto. Take my picture. Whoops. So in the Audi display, we set that to auto. There's everything we saw in the PDF. Yes, we have set it up. Measure the front height of the front left. Okay. So it wants it in millimeters. Just get it off my phone. I'm going to put this down for a second. So you see with the lip, mocked it up. That is the driver's side. And we are in at about 785. So there I put 785. Want it in millimeters. So now it wants the left rear, which I did not do, so I'm going to do that really quickly. I thought it was only the front. Left rear is 803. That's going to ask me for the right rear, which I don't have, so forgive me 1 second while I get that. So I'll show you left rear. And now we're going to grab this and go over to the left rear. And that is in at about 797. And I'll show you the front right, which is also missing its little fender garnish. And that one comes in at about 797, but you got to subtract 5 because we're missing that piece, so 792. So 797 and right front 792. There are our measurements. Look at that yaw angle, 0.16. That's pretty good. Not as good as that other car we did the other day at 0.0, but I'll take 0.16. Ignition is on. Now it wants me to cycle it. So it tells you that it's going to remotely do it. It does not. So I'm going to press yes. And then it's going to tell me that it wants me to switch it off. So I'm going to put this down for 1 second, switch the ignition off, finish this sequence out. It counts down 6 seconds. Then it tells you to turn the ignition on. Calibration is successful, and we're all set. So just kind of recap everything. Try to put this in a good spot. So to recap, this is a 2020 Audi Q3. Today we did the 360 camera calibration, and we did the Audi presets camera calibration. It really takes me longer to talk about this, guys, than it does to set it up. The 7-step system that we've set up with lasers that I have other videos showing you how to do really helps save time. So my total setup time on this, according to the document I shared on LinkedIn, was probably about 40 minutes. And that's laying all these lines out, laying the targets out. And you guys have seen that in this video, I completed the calibrations in 20 minutes. So this work can be done in less than an hour and a half. Just requires a little bit of practice and a little bit of dedication, and you guys will get there. This is how we make money doing ADAS work. The faster you can do this, the faster you can get it moving. You know, this does not just happen. This takes time. So it took me probably about 2 hours of prep time between going to Audi, finding service information, reading it, thinking about how I've done other Audis and how I would do this. It's not hard, guys. Give it a try. Leave me some comments if you have them. If it sucks, let me know, but I'm here to help. Thank you and have a great day, everybody, and enjoy your weekend.